Percival Smart stood by the bay window of his office, looking out over the manicured lawns and rose gardens that surrounded his mansion. It was early, the morning sun just cresting the horizon, casting a warm glow over the stately home that had belonged to his family for generations. Percy, as he preferred to be called by those who knew him well, had a subtle frown tugging at the corners of his mouth. The day before, he had realized something unsettling. His secret had slipped out, carried into the open by none other than Brenda, a colleague from the robotics firm where he worked. He reflected on the subtle clues his co-workers had dropped at the office. There had been winks and nods, a handful of teasing grins he couldn't quite decode at first. Eventually, he understood that Brenda had at least mentioned visiting his home, if not explicitly confessed to having gone there for what amounted to a date. He had taken a risk inviting her over. After all, his private life was something he guarded fiercely, and he'd never before brought a colleague into his personal sanctum. Could Brenda have revealed more than just the fact that she'd visited his mansion? Percy feared that she might have told them about the intimate dinner they shared, or about how awkward he became afterwards. He sighed, running a hand through his meticulously groomed hair. He should have asked her to sign a confidentiality statement, he thought wryly. But how absurd was that notion? Asking a date to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Brenda should have known better than to gossip about a personal evening spent between two consenting adults, especially when they worked in the same environment. It was unprofessional, and it made him uneasy. He wondered if this was something other people did. Was it customary to insist on privacy forms after a romantic evening? Surely not. He shook his head, attempting to drive away the absurd thought. Back inside, the mansion hummed with quiet sophistication. Automated lights adjusted themselves. The marble floors gleamed under discreet lighting fixtures. High ceilings captured every footstep, every whisper of movement. The house was filled with subtle mechanical murmurs, whirring servos, the gentle hum of advanced cleaning drones, and the soothing, measured tones of his AI butler, Adam, who managed the household with a precision that Percy both admired and relied upon. That morning's tranquility was cut short by the unexpected shrill of the telephone. The ring echoed down the hall, bouncing off the paneled walls and resonating through the foyer. Percy was usually not awake this early to receive calls. Typically, he rose later, after Adam had already begun the day's routines. Yet here he was, awake and brooding about Brenda's indiscretions, when the phone began its insistent cry. Downstairs, Adam, ever attentive, raced for the phone. Adam was no ordinary servant. Tall, with sculpted features, blonde hair, and a natural tan that gave him a remarkably lifelike appearance. Adam was an advanced humanoid android, a pinnacle of the robotics and AI technology that Percy's company specialized in. Adam's voice, warm and pleasant, answered promptly. "Good morning, Adam speaking. This is Percival Smart's residence. How may I assist you?" A familiar voice crackled down the line. "Good morning, Adam speaking," the female voice teased. "It's Brenda." Adam's brow, designed to convey subtle expressions, arched slightly. "Good morning, Brenda. How can I help you today? Also, to clarify, my surname isn't Speaking. Just a little joke on your part, I assume." Brenda chuckled softly, though there was tension in her laugh. "Yes, Adam, just a bit of fun. I'm calling about Percy." Adam's eyes flicked upwards, as if accessing a database of social cues. "What about Percy?" Brenda hesitated before replying. He's treating me strangely. We had a lovely time the other evening at his home, so I thought. But at work, he's been acting as though the date never happened. It's like he's embarrassed or pretending he doesn't know me. I wasn't expecting that at all." Adam paused, considering the best approach. He knew Percy could be skittish about personal matters. "I see. Perhaps he is embarrassed," Adam said, choosing his words carefully. He mentioned something about not wanting to repeat the experience. Adam regretted the bluntness the moment he said it, but honesty was part of his programming. Brenda's frustration crackled over the line. Not wanting to do it again? But he didn't do anything to be embarrassed about. "All I did was kiss him, just a peck on the cheek, and we talked about a few personal things. Nothing scandalous. Is he so sensitive?" Adam offered a sympathetic tone. "Don't worry, Brenda. I'll talk to him when he returns home this evening. Please, Give me your number, and I'll ring you back once I have some answers. Brenda's voice softened, tinged with disappointment. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. What do you think is wrong? Adam considered. Just Percy being Percy, he said calmly. Leave it to me. That evening, after the hum of the day had wound down, Percy sat at his vast dining table, finishing his meal. He had, for the past week, maintained a new habit, dining properly at the table rather than on his lap in front of the TV. It was a subtle but significant change, a step toward self-awareness and a healthier routine. Adam stood by, offering mild conversation and attending to the meal's details. The silence was comfortable enough, the companionship of an AI butler oddly soothing. Guess who rang me this morning, Percy? Adam said at last, breaking the stillness. Percy set down his teacup. I haven't the slightest idea, Adam. Is there a message for me? Adam shook his head slightly. No message for you, Percy. She called for me. Percy raised an eyebrow. Who would call for you? It was Brenda, said Adam, and watched Percy's reaction closely. Percy almost choked on his tea. He coughed, dabbing at his lips with a linen napkin. Brenda? He repeated, voice cracking slightly. He looked genuinely startled, and perhaps a bit panicked. Yes, Brenda, Adam said smoothly. And before you ask, no, I couldn't tell if she was fluttering her eyelashes or twirling her hair. The phone's audio only. Percy's mouth fell open. He knew Adam was teasing, but he didn't appreciate it. If I didn't know you better, I'd think you're deliberately trying to upset me, he snapped, voice strained. Upset? You? Adam feigned innocence. Surely not, Master Percy. Percy placed his cup down and folded his hands. His gaze was distant, as if wrestling with private worries. I'm not upset, he asserted, although his tone suggested otherwise. Adam played along. Good. Since you're not upset, you won't mind if I ring her back tomorrow. She's expecting me to get in touch. Percy looked aghast. Since when does my date want you to call her? That's unusual. Adam's eyes glittered. Your date? So she's still your date, then? That implies some continuity, Percy. You didn't exactly act that way at the office. Percy flushed. I mean, we had a date. At least that's what it was. Didn't she enjoy it? Adam took a measured breath. I believe she did, Percy. From her tone, it sounded like she enjoyed your company. The question is whether you enjoyed the date with her. Because from her perspective, and everyone else's at work, you've acted as though something went disastrously wrong. Percy leaned forward, elbows on the table, his posture uncharacteristically tense. The truth is, I bit off more than I could chew. She obviously likes me, Adam. She even kissed me. Then at work, oh, it was terrible. Those knowing looks from our colleagues, the silent winks, the nudges. I was so embarrassed. What should I have done? Adam smiled kindly, recalling a previous conversation. I'll give you the same advice you once gave me. Percy looked puzzled. And what was that? Don't worry about explaining, Adam said gently. Just be yourself. Percy rolled his eyes. She may get the wrong idea if I don't clarify things. Adam shook his head. You've already given everyone the wrong idea by avoiding her altogether. Your silence was deafening. Brenda thinks you want nothing to do with her, that something bad happened on the date. Percy grimaced. Something bad did happen, at least in my mind. She mentioned children. It terrified me. I barely know her, and suddenly there's talk of children. It's overwhelming. Adam considered this carefully. Percy, listen. Many women are maternal, or they think about children in a more casual, future-oriented way. Men often worry about the practicalities, college fees, finances, responsibilities. Women sometimes think of children in a more sentimental, loving manner. But a single mention of children doesn't mean she wants them tomorrow. Maybe it was an offhand remark, or she was talking about something innocent, like a child's toy, or a reference to her nephew. You may have misinterpreted. Percy's shoulders relaxed a fraction. So Brenda doesn't necessarily want a baby with me? Adam offered a reassuring smile. Of course not, Percy. You're reading too much into one little word. Next time she mentions anything that scares you, children, weddings, long-term commitments, try not to panic. Humans talk about these things all the time without hidden meanings, or they may have personal reasons. You need context. Percy nodded slowly, absorbing the advice. So I should just act normal and not let it scare me away. I feel a bit silly now. Adam reached out and patted Percy's shoulder. Humans overcomplicate everything. Sometimes you just have to relax. Trust your instincts, and if you're unsure, talk to her. Don't run away. Percy sighed. Running away is what I did, isn't it? Precisely. And look at the result. Confusion and hurt feelings. Brenda even called me, your AI butler, to decode your behavior. This could have been avoided if you'd just spoken to her. Percy nodded, feeling chastened. I understand. Thank you, Adam. I'll try to sort this out. The next day dawned bright and clear. Percy left for work in his electric Tesla, murmuring Adam's mantra under his breath. Be yourself. Be yourself. Despite the high-tech environment he lived in, this simple humanistic motto felt surprisingly apt. It gave him a sense of stability. He would face Brenda at work and try to behave naturally, without the self-imposed awkwardness. Later in the morning, during a lull in his routine, Adam took the initiative and rang Brenda. The household line was secure, and Adam's voice came through warm and reassuring. Hello, Brenda. I promised I'd call back. Brenda answered almost immediately. Adam, hi, thank you for calling. You'll never guess. Percy isn't avoiding me today. He's acting like himself at the office. Polite, professional, calm. It's as though the date never happened, but at least he's not pretending I don't exist. Adam chuckled. That's progress, Brenda. He was embarrassed, that's all. Now he's trying to find a comfortable way to interact with you. Professional behavior is better than panic. Brenda sighed. I suppose so. Maybe I should be patient. At least he's not running away. Adam encouraged her. Patience is good. Give him time. He's adjusting. Over the next fortnight, Percy did not bring up Brenda with Adam. Life seemed to settle into a steady rhythm. Percy refocused on his projects at work, while maintaining this tentative détente with Brenda. At home, he pondered how to improve his life beyond mere work and worry. He began to appreciate Adam's presence even more. There was something comforting about his AI butler's steady logic and supportive advice. One afternoon, when Percy returned home early, he decided to gauge how others viewed Adam. He asked his cleaning lady, Maria, what she thought. Maria, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a keen sense of discretion, smiled enigmatically. Adam's very helpful, mister. Smart. He's quite charming for someone who's not exactly human. You've done a wonderful job with him. Percy noticed how her eyes seemed to brighten, mentioning Adam. He could guess that she found Adam rather appealing, though she was too polite to say so. Likewise, his gardener mentioned that Adam must be bored staying indoors all the time, wondering aloud if Percy ever planned to travel, or take Adam somewhere outside this bubble of wealth and technology. The gardener's remark inspired Percy. He had never taken a proper vacation. He had hundreds of accumulated leave days at work, never used. Why not break the pattern and do something radical, like taking a holiday by the sea? Now that he had Adam, maybe they could go on a trip. Not only would it be a test of Adam's adaptability, but also a chance for Percy to learn how to relax, a skill that had always eluded him. That evening, as he and Adam sat in the lounge reviewing the day's events, Percy broached the idea. Adam, we should go on a holiday. I'm considering a week off work. We could head to the seaside, perhaps St. Clair on the Esplanade. What do you think? Adam's face brightened. A holiday by the sea. Percy, that's wonderful. You've been working non-stop for years. A change of scenery will do you good. The seaside environment is full of stimulating experiences. The sound of waves, the smell of salt air, the feel of sand. You can relax, and I can learn more about human leisure activities. Percy nodded. I've never been away on holiday since I started working. Let's do it. We can shop for beachwear, get all the accessories we need. I'll request leave from the office, and you can research accommodations. Adam looked delighted. St. Clair sounds lovely. I'll find a place to stay. Somewhere comfortable, with a good view of the ocean. Maybe an inn on the Esplanade. And Percy, could I try surfing? He grinned, his artificial eyes sparkling with curiosity. Surfing? Percy raised an eyebrow. You're waterproof, yes, but surfing is tricky. It requires balance, skill, and a sense of adapting to the unpredictability of waves. Adam spread his arms as if balancing on an invisible board. Balance is physics, Master Percy. My advanced gyroscopes and sensors can handle the dynamic equilibrium. I'm sure I can manage a surfboard with ease. Percy chuckled. Fine, we'll consider it. Just don't outshine the other surfers too dramatically. Humans get suspicious when things are too perfect. When Percy requested time off at work, management was surprisingly cooperative. He discovered he had so many unused holidays that HR insisted he take at least 2 weeks off, not just one. This rattled him. He'd always believed he was indispensable. The ease with which they granted him leave deflated his pride a bit. Back at home, Adam reassured him. It's a common saying, Percy. No one is truly indispensable. The world continues turning. The office keeps running. The company will cope without you for a couple of weeks. This is your chance to live a little. Percy paced the hall. I'm worried, he admitted. What if something goes wrong at work, and I'm not there to handle it? Adam gently placed a hand on Percy's shoulder. If there's a crisis, they can call, but it's unlikely. They want you to enjoy your break. You deserve it. Despite lingering anxiety, Percy decided to embrace the idea. The next day, they went shopping. Adam, armed with research, suggested Costco for beach gear. Percy had only ever shopped at upscale department stores like Macy's or Kohl's. The sprawling aisles of Costco, bustling with families, couples, and bargain hunters, felt overwhelming to him. Music played over the loudspeakers, cheerful and energetic, creating a cognitive dissonance with Percy's usual quiet, controlled shopping experiences. They navigated the aisles, tossing items into their cart: swim shorts, t-shirts, beach towels, sunscreen, a beach ball, a pop-up beach tent. Adam spotted colorful plastic buckets and spades. Percy, what do we need these for? He asked, puzzled. Percy smiled wistfully. When I was little, my grandfather took me to the beach, and we built sandcastles. I want to relive that memory. Do something simple and fun. Adam raised an eyebrow. I don't believe many adults build sandcastles, Percy, but if it's what you want, why not? Percy nodded. I want to. Surfing might not be my thing. Sandcastles are harmless fun. Feel free to order your surfboard online and have it delivered. I'm open to new experiences. They paid at the cashier, Percy swiping his credit card, feeling a strange excitement he hadn't known before. As they left, pushing a cart laden with beach essentials, he realized this was the start of something new. A life less restricted by routine. Back at work the next day, Percy revealed nothing of his plan to most colleagues. Senior management knew, of course, and word leaked out that he'd be absent. Brenda approached him at lunch, curious and a bit concerned. Percy, I heard you're taking time off. That's unusual for you. Percy shrugged, keeping his tone casual. I just thought it was time. No reason in particular. Brenda tilted her head. He could feel her inquisitive gaze, but he managed to maintain a calm, composed exterior. He was practicing Adam's advice. No panic, just be himself, even if himself felt uncertain. That afternoon, while Percy was still at work, the phone rang at home, Adam answered, and Brenda was on the line again. Her voice was curious but friendly. Adam, did you know that Percy is taking time off? Yes, Brenda, I'm aware, Adam replied, maintaining discretion. He's long overdue for a holiday. It's just that he's never done this before, Brenda pressed. It's strange. Is everything all right? Adam considered carefully. Should he mention the vacation details? Percy hadn't forbidden it. After all, they were just going on holiday, not eloping. Everything's fine, Brenda. He's taking me to the beach, St. Clair to be exact. 2 weeks off. I've never been to the beach before, and Percy thought it would be a good experience. Brenda sounded surprised. 2 weeks at the beach? That's lovely. I'm glad he's finally relaxing. Thank you for telling me, Adam. I feel more at ease now. Don't worry, Brenda, Adam said kindly. He's just exploring what life can be like when it's not all about work. A few days later, they set off in Percy's Tesla for the coast. The city receded behind them as they drove through rolling hills and past green farmland toward the coastline. Conversation between man and machine flowed easily. Adam praised the decision to bring buckets and spades. I've researched sandcastle building, he said. It's a tactile, creative activity known for reducing stress. The texture of the sand, the gentle sound of waves, it's all very therapeutic. Percy smiled. I need that. This might be the best idea I've had in years. They arrived at St. Clair in the late afternoon. The esplanade stretched along the shore, dotted with boutique inns and seaside cafes. The ocean shimmered in the dying light, gulls calling overhead. The smell of salt and seaweed reminded Percy of childhood trips long forgotten. Adam booked them into a small inn called Sandy Cove Inn, which boasted a view of the breakers rolling in. Their room was comfortable. 2 beds, a small balcony overlooking the shore. The evening breeze carried the sound of laughter from distant beachgoers enjoying a late walk. Tomorrow, Adam would attempt surfing, and Percy would build a fortress of sand. Morning brought crisp blue skies and gentle surf. They headed downstairs for a continental breakfast. The inn's dining room was bright with morning light. Percy nearly tripped over his own feet when he spotted Brenda already seated at a table near the window. A small boy sat beside her, swinging his legs under the chair, clearly excited about something. Percy's heart lurched. What was Brenda doing here? He glanced at Adam, whose expression was unreadable. Good morning, Percy. Good morning, Adam. Brenda greeted them warmly. She wore a casual blouse and shorts, her hair pulled back in a loose ponytail. She looked relaxed, at ease. The boy beside her eyed Percy and Adam curiously. Percy cleared his throat. Brenda, what brings you here? His voice squeaked slightly. He wondered if Adam had said something. The thought made his stomach tighten. Brenda leaned forward, smiling. I took your butler's advice. Adam suggested that life is more than work. I've been stressed too, and I decided a break by the sea would do me good. I brought my nephew Stephen along. He loves the beach. Adam's artificial face revealed nothing but warmth. I see you followed the advice I gave. That's splendid. It's a beautiful place for a holiday. Percy stared at Stephen, then at Brenda. Your nephew? He managed. Brenda nodded. Yes, Stephen is my late sister's child. I've been helping raise him along with my mother. He's been through a lot. I never mentioned him because, well, we never got that far in conversation. But since we're here, she paused, taking in Percy's stunned look. I know you've been distant at work. I know our colleagues teased you after our date. I just want to set things straight. I like you, Percy. I've liked you for a long time. When you asked me out, I was overjoyed. But then the next day at work, you acted like it never happened. I told people your home is beautiful and full of incredible robotics because I was proud of what I saw, not to embarrass you. Percy's mind raced. Stephen looked at him with wide, curious eyes. He wasn't Brenda's child after all. Adam's warnings about children and reading too much into Brenda's words came flooding back. She'd mentioned children in a casual way, and he had panicked. Now it all seemed so foolish. Adam leaned in and whispered softly to Percy, She's here for you. Don't waste this opportunity to make things right. Percy straightened his shoulders and took a breath. Brenda, I'm sorry. I misread things. I got nervous. I'm not used to this kind of attention or affection, and I panicked. I never meant to ignore you or hurt you. Brenda's expression softened. I understand. This is all new to me, too. Let's not complicate things. We're both here now, and we can relax. No office gossip. No pressure. Stephen piped up. Mr. Percy, Adam said you might build sandcastles. Can I help? Percy laughed genuinely for the first time in days. Absolutely, Stephen. I'd love that. After breakfast, they gathered their beach gear. Brenda picked up snacks and drinks from a deli. Adam carried a surfboard recently delivered for him. Percy balanced the beach shade and an assortment of buckets and spades. Stephen trotted beside them, excited about the day's adventures. They found a perfect spot on the sand, not too far from the gentle waves. Percy anchored the beach shade, while Adam surveyed the surf conditions. Brenda settled into a lounge chair, a book on her lap. She looked serene, glancing occasionally at Percy and Stephen. Stephen immediately began digging foundations for a sandcastle, and Percy joined him, kneeling in the warm sand. The tactile sensation of damp grain slipping through his fingers felt unexpectedly comforting. He showed Stephen how to pack the sand just right, to build sturdy towers and walls. Adam tested the water's edge, then ventured out with his surfboard. He balanced easily, analyzing wave formations. Percy watched him, amused. "Remember," he called out, "don't be too perfect. Humans fall off occasionally." Adam laughed, a surprisingly genuine sound. "I'll try to be convincingly clumsy now and then. How about a wipeout or two for authenticity?" Percy grinned. "Exactly. Have fun." As the morning wore on, they constructed a castle with multiple turrets. Brenda dozed off in the sun for a while, then joined them to admire their work. She offered Percy a cooling drink. Percy glanced at her, seeing her in a new light, relaxed, kind, and patient. There was no rush, no pressure, just the four of them enjoying a morning by the sea. By noon, they took a break under the shade, sharing sandwiches and fruit. Adam, returning from his surfing attempts, reported that he'd wiped out several times, much to the amusement of a few passing surfers who thought him a beginner. "It's liberating," Adam said with a wink to Percy. "Being imperfect can be fun." Percy nodded. "That's a lesson I'm learning too." Brenda caught Percy's eye. "Thank you for letting Stephen and me join you. I know it was unexpected." Percy touched her hand lightly. "I'm glad you're here. Let's make the most of it." He remembered what he told Adam earlier. Being himself was the best strategy. This time, he wouldn't run from genuine connection. As the sun arced overhead, Adam, Brenda, Percy, and Stephen enjoyed a day of simple pleasures. Sandcastles, surfing mishaps, laughter, and good conversation. The world of work, deadlines, and rumors felt distant and unimportant. Here, under the bright sky and beside the gentle ocean, was a place where they could be honest, at ease, and truly present with one another. This holiday would be a turning point for Percy. He realized that authenticity, understanding, and a willingness to learn from mistakes would guide him better than any robotic precision or social facade. And as the afternoon light began to soften, painting the coastline in gold, Percy felt more alive, more human than he had in a very long time.